Today's model was previously base coated before giving it an overall wash of black. From here I'll add the OSL effect, and in contrast to my previous tutorials, I'll begin from the brightest point. For the light source I'm using a fluorescent magenta I never got around to using. Coverage wasn't the best, but 3 coats over white made the trick. To paint the effect, I first establish 3 bubbles. This will be an easy way of determining where each color will be used. Said bubbles have to be imagined as spheres, with the light source in its center, from where the light will travel in a straight line. Simply put, the first one will cover the face, the second one will go right over the belt, and the third one just a bit further from the second. The application of the paint is done in an overbrushing manner, lightly going over the surface, trying to catch mainly the raised details. It is also slightly diluted so to make use of the undertones through transparency. As a rule of thumb, no reflection should be as bright as its light source, so I won't be using fluorescent magenta for any reflections. There are exceptions to this rule when it comes to highly reflective surfaces, just like metals, but I'll leave that for a more advanced video and focus on the basics for now. Apart from the face, I'll make sure to paint everything else within the imaginary sphere, which is exposed in a direct line to the light source. To sell the effect, it is important we respect those straight lines in which light travels, and avoid, for example, having light wrapping around the arm too much. The second bubble is a mix of the magenta I used in the first bubble with dark purple, once again applied in a manner of an overbrush. There is not really much else to it. I am mostly skipping the nooks and crannies between each detail, and other than that, everything else gets a layer of paint over it. That is why I kept the paint job to a simple layer plus dark wash, since I knew I'd be working over it in the end. For now, the most important thing is to get the paint mainly on the raised details. Any loose ends will be fixed over on the next step. When in doubt, I reimagine the bubbles so to make sure I'm correctly keeping the circular shape of the light. Before moving on, I made sure to really enhance those raised details which would catch the most light. Not only on the second, but also went back to the first bubble, and made sure the magenta was fully opaque. With dark purple, I'll work on the third bubble, which I mentioned decided it will reach up to the edges of the second. This dark purple from the third bubble I'll then use to wash the second bubble. Same way, the second bubble's color will be the shadow color of the first one. Through this, I'll bridge the gap between the bubbles, making everything a cohesive light source which dims with the distance. While the washing will provide us with a slightly darker color on the shadows, it will also tint the raised details a little, so I'll re-enhance the highlights of each bubble to their corresponding color. This can easily be done through the use of the side of the brush, which is something you've heard me say time and time again if you watch my videos before. You might remember I mentioned light travels in a straight line. Well, some shadow areas have ended up with a purplish tone from the washes, when in truth they should be darker, such as under the beard or right below the belts. To solve this, a wash of black and dark purple will be selectively applied to the shadows which are not directly exposed to the light source, and this will be true for all the bubbles the same. The effect is ready and this final step is optional. But in order to better sell the dark ambience around the model, I'll apply a glaze of black over everything outside of the light reflection, to darken it down just a little. Like I always say, this is a glaze and not a wash. I do not want much paint pooling on the recesses, but a thin transparent homogeneous layer to work as a filter. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the video both useful and entertaining. As always, special thanks to my patrons Caleb and Cedric. If you have any doubts, feel free to leave them in the comments. But that'll be all for today. Only thing left is for you to go and try it out. Hope to see you again next week.